Okay, so the Epstein files are finally out. A U.S. court has unsealed this massive trove of documents from the investigation. And wow, there is a lot to get through. So let's dive in and try to break down what these new revelations are and, what they actually mean. First, just to give you a sense of the scale we're dealing with, this is not some small leak. It's an absolute data tsunami. We're talking about 3 million pages of documents. I mean, think about that. It's like a whole library of information just dropped. And investigators are really only just starting to scratch the surface. And it's not just paperwork, not by a long shot. The release also includes a staggering 180,000 images. Now, these photos could be a game changer, right? They could provide some really crucial context, maybe placing certain people at specific places and events inside Epstein's world. And if that wasn't enough, on top of all that, there are 2,000 videos. So you've got this mountain of evidence, the documents, the photos, the videos, and it all promises to paint the most detailed picture we've ever had of Epstein's life and the powerful people that were in it. Okay, but with all this information comes a huge responsibility. And before we dig into any of the names, we have to be super clear about one thing, and this is absolutely critical. Just because someone's name appears in these files, it does not automatically mean they did anything wrong or are accused of a crime. It's a really important distinction to keep in your head as we go through this. All right, so let's get into what everyone's talking about, the names. We're going to look at who's mentioned, but more importantly, the context of why they're mentioned, and of course, how they've responded. And this is where the story starts to get really complicated. First up, Elon Musk. The documents include some email exchanges between him and Epstein. In this one, back in 2012, Musk is talking about travel plans and asks Epstein pretty directly, what day/night will be the wildest party on your island? So, how did Musk respond to this coming out? Well, he went on his platform, X, and said he knew the emails could be used to, quote, smear my name. But then he kind of pivoted the conversation, saying he's way more concerned about making sure the people who actually committed serious crimes with Epstein are prosecuted. Then you have Richard Branson. His name pops up hundreds of times. In one email from 2013 that's getting a lot of attention, Epstein thanks him for his hospitality, and Branson writes back inviting him to return, but adds this line, as long as you bring your harem. Now, Branson's company, Virgin Group, came out with a statement to give some context. They claimed that the word harem was actually a reference to 3 adult members of Epstein's staff. They also made it clear that they refused a donation from Epstein and cut all ties with him after they did their own research and found some serious allegations. Now, this one is pretty fascinating. It's a text exchange between former Trump advisors Steve Bannon and Epstein. And from the looks of it, it seems like Bannon was giving him some PR advice, coaching him on how to push back on the lies and rebuild your image as a philanthropist. So what did Steve Bannon have to say about these texts? Well, crickets. So far, he hasn't responded to requests for comment from news outlets like the BBC. And again, just to be clear, he's not accused of any wrongdoing here. The situation with Bill Gates is a little different. The files have 2 emails that look like they were drafted by Epstein, but it's not even clear if they were ever actually sent to Gates. And these drafts contain some pretty wild and, it's important to say, unverified claims about Gates's personal life. As you can probably guess, Bill Gates's team came out swinging against this. A spokesperson called the claims absolutely absurd and completely false and said they came from a proven, disgruntled liar. Donald Trump's name also comes up hundreds of times, but the context here is really key. A lot of these mentions are connected to a list of unverified allegations that were just sent in to an FBI tip line, none of which have been backed up with any evidence. Trump's response has been pretty consistent over the years. He's always denied any wrongdoing and says he cut ties with Epstein decades ago. It's also a fact that none of Epstein's victims have accused him of any crimes. And honestly, the list of well-known people just keeps going, from politics to royalty to big tech. You've got photographs that include Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, bank statements that suggest payments connected to the British politician Lord Mandelson, travel plans for the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, emails with the former president of Harvard, Larry Summers, and even records showing Google co-founder Sergey Brin visited Epstein's island. Phew, okay. That is a lot of names, a lot of connections, a lot of different situations. So what's the big takeaway here? After all of that, what does this massive document dump really tell us?
Well, here's the bottom line. We have a mind-boggling amount of information, but a lot of it is still missing the full context. We know tons of high-profile people were in Epstein's orbit, but, and I'm going to say it again, being named is not proof of guilt. The public responses have been all over the map, from angry denials to people regretting they ever knew him. And maybe the most important point of all, this story is far, far from over.
You know, releasing all these documents is a huge step toward transparency, for sure. But it also brings us to the biggest and most important question in all of this. As we learn more and more, what does real, meaningful justice for Epstein's victims actually look like? That's the question we're left with.